To start the program, we have somebody who needs no introduction, but I want to introduce him anyway. A faceter, an innovator, an inventor, a manufacturer, a precision machinist. I'm not sure what else I could say about Jon Rolfe, but he is here with us today, holder of numerous patents, to talk to you about the theory of polishing in general.
Playmates have come to life. Now, I have a little structure. I'm just going to work from a few notes to keep me from rambling like I do online. And to start, why am I doing this? I'm not a competitor. I'm not a production cutter. Huh?
Still closer, you're fine.
Okay. I'm not a competitor. I'm not a production cutter. I'm not anybody that wins anything or, or does things like, really expensive stones. What I am is somebody that sells things that make, for polishing, who has emails and questions from people all the time. All the time. And it made me become acquainted with polishing, not from a perspective of the person sitting down there trying to make the damn thing work, but from how do you handle this if somebody can't polish something. And, when we are on our different forums online, we always see some really top subjects that take more bandwidth than anything else. The beloved dock wax versus epoxy thread, okay? That's a good one. The proper nomenclature and use of the cheater, that's another good one. But the all-time winner is polishing. And there are a lot of different explanations as to how it works and a lot of different theories. I don't want to add any more theories to it. But what I want to add is what I see when people write me for help. Because my perspective changed. When I'm starting to sell things to polish with, they have to work. And if they don't work, I have to explain why they don't work. And it's a bad place. So you've got to find out. Well, one of the first things I realized is that we have a lot of different theories about changing the pH of the dip tank. And somebody said that you're supposed to do such and such with kunzite to stabilize the lithium ion concentration between the surface and, we have chemomechanical polishing theories, we have BLB flow layer theories, we have all this stuff going on. And step back a minute, here we are in a nominally air-conditioned, comfortable modern place with laptops and cell phones and everything. And at the same time we're doing this, there is some guy outside of a village somewhere that's using a machine that we look at, and think that it belonged in a barn somewhere. And he's getting paid piecework. He's getting paid by the carat to cut things and polish things that we don't like. Kunzite and quartz and so forth, in addition to the easy stuff like emeralds and garnets, beryls and garnets. And when he's sitting there doing this, he's thinking about filling his bucket up, and we've seen his stones. We've seen them on HSN and every place like that. And we look at them, we say, it's windowed. The facets are put at these haphazard angles. We don't know what angle this is. The stones are bellied, and the goldsmith is going to write us hate mail. And the girdles are all over the place. But the trouble is that when you really look at these, you say, wait a minute. The polish on these isn't really all that bad. This guy is not making high technology out of this. This guy's not making a big deal about this. He's sitting down there, and he's not thinking about lithium ion concentration at the surface. He's thinking about feeding his chickens. What's wrong with us? So by backing it up and looking at that, and saying the things that we agonize all the time about polishing quartz, polishing the spodumines and so forth, there are people in the world that are doing this by second nature. So, we're missing out on something. Now, one of the things that's come up, sometimes you get advice from people in other fields that are especially germane. And I got advice from this guy that I know who looks for all the world like a great big bear. And he paints cars for a living. And he does flip-flop paint jobs and candy apple and all kinds of stuff on expensive cars with expensive materials. And basically he told me, I was restoring a car, and he was giving me advice. If the prep ain't good, the job looks like. And what I'm seeing is people getting sick of me referring everybody to the Attaways page on subsurface damage. Is that a lot of times people are using a coarse grit, they're damaging the material. They're abbreviating the pre-polish because they're taking a look, let's say they use my magic formulation 600 to, 3K on cast tin, and then polish with whatever's appropriate. Is they're abbreviating the 3K pre-polish. It looks pretty good. You look it up. In some cases, it's superficially a polish. In some cases, you could sell them on eBay. But then from there, they're going to the polish and they're saying, it's scratching. Those aren't scratches. Those are scratches that are left behind that weren't visible in the pre-polish. And what is insidious about it is if I get emails from people that say, well, I roughed it on a 100 grit lap. Look, that belongs in a quarry. That's to take a great big piece of material and make it into a small piece of material before you start cutting with it. And you would be surprised the number of people who fall for that. That, it just goes, you're not looking for that. One thing to think of with diamond abrasives is to take a diamond and a store window, right? Now, you'll see a scratch, but that scratch doesn't stop it where it's visible. That's a strain propagation. And in some materials, like quartz, or the ones, like kunzite, and things that are sitting there waiting to break anyway, when you do this, that crack will unzip as you get towards it with a finer and finer grips. And the grit says it's lurking there. We rented a car yesterday. There was a little ping on the highway, leaving the airport. This morning, the little ping is, so the thing unwittingly gave me a great example to use for crack propagation of brittle materials. Now, when people say a lap is scratching, to begin with, other than a ceramic lap, nobody makes polishing laps of material that are harder than the stones that we're cutting. Something bad is happening somewhere else. With the polymeric laps, one of the things that we found is that polish will pile up if you put on too much polishing material, whether it's oxide or diamond. Another one we found, these are the customer email databases from the databases of complaint. One guy's machine only scratched when the air conditioning was running. Okay, this is stuff in the air conditioning. Another guy had a lap that got contaminated once in a while, and he sent it back for reservicing and blah, blah, blah. It turns out that the lamp over his machine, when you rough a stone out, the stuff that goes, the mist goes everywhere. Well, the wet stuff dries out, you turn the lamp on, the bulb gets hot and it falls off the bulb. Had another guy who had a well during a drought. The well went dry. The pump is pumping silt. He's taking it from the faucet and putting in the drip tank. Had another guy had a 1200 plated lap, and that's a sub specialty of its own. We'll get into that. Got 1200 plated lap that was dying. We were throwing loose diamonds all over the place. This is an interesting case. The guy was a fisherman on Grand Manan Island. He only cut stones, in the winter when his boat was pulled up. I spent 6 months trying to find out what was going on with that. That was my first experience with 1200 plateds. Since then, there have been a lot more. There's a particular type of damage when a lap is dying. I see people say, well, I cut this on a worn such and such lap. But if it's worn, you don't know what the scratch size is, so you don't know what you did to make that finish. Another thing is if it's worn and a diamond erodes out of the matrix and it goes rolling in between the surface and the facet you're trying to cut, the next finer grit when you polish or pre-polish, you're going to see something really bad. And it's a series of dashes with an asterisk, dash, asterisk, dash, asterisk.